introduce to you Jeff Kaminsky, who is right now at Valley City State University in Valley City, North Dakota. And Jeff will talk a little bit about himself and also a little about why he chose this job at Ohio. Okay, Jeff?
That opened her up.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Mike. First of all, I want to thank Mike and the committee and Mike Kowicki for the opportunity to be here today. Really excited about the possibilities here at Wayne State, and you know, I truly believe this is a college and a program that can be highly successful. Otherwise, I honestly wouldn't be here if I didn't feel this program could compete at a really high level and you know, compete for national tournament berths. And you know, I'm part of a successful program right now, and certainly look forward to the possibility of hopefully doing some things here. Thank all of you for coming out as well. I appreciate that. Just a little bit about my background. I'm from Wheaton, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, about 30 miles out of Chicago. And I went to a local school there my first 2 years of college and had enough success where I was at that I earned a scholarship to Grand Valley State. And Grand Valley, of course, is a Division II school, which is in Allendale, Michigan. A little bit like going to college here. Allendale's a really small community. It's been built up quite a bit since I've been there, but they did not have a movie theater or anything in town when I was there. But I had a great experience at Grand Valley. Our team advanced to the regional championship. And unfortunately, we lost to South Dakota State, who was Division II at the time. So that was my last college game, was in Brookings, South Dakota. But my time at Grand Valley, I had a great experience, and really I think that's where I developed the passion for Division II and Division II basketball. And ever really since that time, I've followed Division II. I've had a passion for it. There's no question this is a level that I want to coach at. And then after I left Grand Valley, I had a good experience at Kent State. I was a Division I grad assistant for 2 years. And then took my first head coaching job, which was at Mid-State Tech. It's a junior college in Wisconsin. And I've been a head coach at 3 colleges, and they all kind of had some similarities, and they were all in last place the year before I took the job. In fact, Mid-State was 1-21, I think, the year before I took the job there. And in all 3 places, you know, we had success. I left Mid-State, we were 30-4 when I left, and then took the job at UW Superior. And that's in a great Division III conference. I think some similarities in the NSIC being, you know, one of the best Division II conferences in the country. UW Superior was at the time and probably the best Division III conference in the country, which included schools like Stevens Point that's won multiple national championships in Platteville, where Bo Ryan was at before he left for Wisconsin. When I got there, they had the previous 80 games in the conference. They were 5 wins and 75 losses. So it didn't have a whole lot of success, and you know, we were able to kind of get things going there. And now the last 11 years, I've been in Valley City, and kind of the same thing. I took over a program there that had some success historically, and then not so much recently. The last winning season they had was in 1989. And they had, I think, 3 20-win seasons in the entire history of the program. We've been fortunate. We've got obviously some good players, and we've won at least 20 games 5 of the last 9 years. This past season, our team was fortunate enough to advance to the national tournament and finished in the Sweet 16 in the NAI. So have had some success there. So one of the things that really interests me, and Mike asked me really why I'm here, I think there's a number of things that are appealing to me here at Wayne State. Number one, without question, the Division II level. Just going back to my Grand Valley days, I really have a passion for Division II basketball. I've always followed it. I think the NSIC is the league that I'm most comfortable with, and I have the most experience with. We've played, I think I've been on 15 of the 16 campuses in the NSIC. Our teams have played at least 12 of the 16 schools in the NSIC. So I've got a lot of familiarity with the schools, and a lot of the coaches that are in the league, so I've seen a lot of the programs. Obviously, I have great respect for the conference. You know, Coach Biller's team this year wins the national championship. Winona State's won it a couple times. In more recent years, other schools have had a lot of success. So I'm really attracted to the conference, the Division II level and the conference. I think the third thing with regard to Wayne is I've kind of been in small towns. My wife and I are obviously right now living in Valley City, and it's a pretty similar sized community to what is here in Wayne. So we've had a lot of success. We've enjoyed being in a smaller community. Obviously, when you have success with your program, it's a lot more enjoyable as well to be in a smaller community. And I think the last thing is, with regard to my interest here, is just rebuilding a program. It's something that I've done in three previous schools as a head coach on the college level. So we've had to come in and really rebuild programs that have been struggling. Some that had struggled forever. Others that had, like Valley City, some historic success, but not recently. I know Wayne has. I mean, obviously go back to the Coach McDermott era and a lot of great success here. There's other programs right now on campus that are having a lot of success. So I truly believe this is a program in men's basketball that can have a great deal of success and compete at a high level in this conference. And otherwise, I honestly would not be here. So I appreciate you coming out and definitely look forward to the possibility of coaching here, and certainly welcome any questions other than math questions.
Let's talk about the team that you might inherit if you get the job here. What have you had a chance to look at those kids and see what this team has coming back for next season?
I have in a couple of ways. One, I know a number of the coaches in the conference, so I made some calls before I pursued the job, and obviously that was one of the questions I asked them about their roster. I know they weren't highly competitive, but yet they were very young, and that was a huge part of it for sure. And then we use the same system for game film, which is called Synergy, that all of Division II uses. So I actually have access to all of the games. So I've watched 3 games essentially to this point, and I need to do a little bit more studying. But that's one of the things that's interesting right now, is just you have some young guys that have had a little success and struggle, but definitely some guys that you can develop in the program. And as you really look forward to next year, I want to have, if I'm fortunate enough to be here, we want to be as good as we possibly can right away next year. So there's no question that the guys that are currently in the program, their development is what's going to be most important for that success next year for sure.
Two-part question. What adjustments, transition do you see for yourself going from NAIA Division II to NCAA Division II? And then part B, what is your recruiting philosophy as far as building a program, strictly four-year high school kids, combination of transfers, JUCOs? What do you prefer?
Thanks. It's a great question, a long question too. So we have, in terms of the transition, I've made the transition. I've really been on every level. I played Division II basketball, NCAA. I was a coach at NCAA Division I at Kent State. And then my first head coaching job was at a junior college, and then made the transition to the Division III level. Had success there, then made the transition to the NAIA level. So I really see this kind of as the next step for me in terms of the level. So I'm excited about that possibility, and I clearly feel is this the level that I want to be at, and feel very strongly that I can succeed at this level. And the reality is, at the NAIA level, if you're going to compete nationally, which we've been fortunate enough to do, you have to have a lot of guys that can compete at the Division II level, and for whatever reason they're not at a Division II school. We had a sophomore this year, Jaden Ferguson, who's from North Dakota, and he should be playing in this conference, and we were fortunate enough that he kind of snuck through the cracks, and we were able to get him there. So I don't think the transition will be a great one. Obviously, in terms of location, this is a city we'd be very comfortable with, my wife and I. To answer your other question about recruiting, specifically with regard to high school and junior college, I think the real answer is both. I mean, I'll certainly figure it out more so when I get here, but I don't think that'll be that dissimilar than where I'm at Valley City, because we sort of have the same issue in terms of being in a small town and being a little isolated. You know, we're about an hour from Fargo, we're, you know, you're an hour from Sioux City. Going in the other direction, you know, we've got to get to Jamestown, which is about 40 minutes before we get to a little bigger city, and, you know, it's like going to Norfolk from here, so I think there'll be a lot of similarities that way. But I've always felt that if you can build your program, the base of your program, with high school guys, to me that only makes sense, because one of the things I think our staff really does well is develop players, and we've developed teams well. And if you obviously are bringing in younger guys, you've got a chance to work with them for 4 or 5 years sometimes. So I would, you know, prefer to do that. But at the same time, you know, if there's an opportunity to improve our roster, especially if we have some immediate needs. I was a transfer, so I certainly have nothing against recruiting transfers. And when you can recruit a transfer that, again, could make an immediate impact, I think regardless of whether you're recruiting, you know, high school seniors or, you know, transfers, locally or nationally, they have to be the right fit. So they have to be guys that are going to fit in here well, that are going to be good teammates, that are going to represent the community well. Because that's one of the things I really understand, you know, being in Valley City and other places I've been. If you're in a smaller community, you have to have guys that are going to represent you well. You might bring in talented guys that don't, and you might have a little bit of success, but eventually that's going to catch up with you, and that's going to be really shallow success, and that's not going to work long term. So regardless of, you know, whether we're talking about transfers or freshmen, I think that's the most important. Initially, I do need to evaluate the roster. I think I'll reach out to obviously the current players and discuss with them maybe some of the specific needs that they feel, watch a lot more tape, and see if there's some specific things we can do to help our roster for next year. The reality with the time right now, if we do that, it's unlikely that those would be high school recruits at this stage. But as we move into the recruiting process, obviously heavily, the rest of the summer we'll be looking at a year from now and 2 years from now, and a lot of those high school seniors. So does that answer your question? Yeah, thanks.
Another recruiting question, hypothetical question. Last 2 or 3 years, the records here are not very good.
Right.
Say you've got a young man, 6'6" player from Norfolk,
Okay.
not very far away. He kind of likes Wayne State, but he's also being recruited by Kearney, the University of Northern Aberdeen, and Sioux Falls University, all bigger communities, all more successful programs. Mom and Dad want him truly to come to Wayne.
Okay.
How do you convince him with the record we've had, and how you'd like to have him help build our program?
Is that really hypothetical, or is that true? I know there's a good player in Norfolk.
Well,
So.
actually, we've had quite a few from Norfolk or Lincoln, Omaha. We never seem to get them.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a great question, and the reality is that, you know, good players want to go somewhere where they can win and have success. And I think one of the things we've been able to do, especially initially, when I've come into programs, and all 3 of them have been the same, and they just haven't been competitive at all. Again, when I went to Valley City, they hadn't had a winning season in 1989. So part of selling your basketball program, without question, is, you know, selling tradition. And, you know, Coach McDermott's tradition only lasts so long for the guys that are coming through. So from the perspective of not only recruits that we're looking at, but I think with this current team as well, to me the biggest selling point will be this, is if you come here right now, you have a chance to do something special. You have a chance to do something that has not been done here in a long time, you know, versus going somewhere where, you know, you're just going to be another guy. But if you come here, we can do something special, and whether it's, you know, the 16-17 team or 17-18 team, hopefully, you know, we're sitting in here 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, and you say, well, that was that 16-17 team. That's the team that got started here. You know, that's the group. So I think a lot of guys are excited about making a name for themselves, you know, versus going somewhere where, you know, they've just had a lot of success. And I think that's a challenge for the current guys that we have in the program, because there are a lot of younger guys that obviously have a chance to succeed at this level, and they need to develop and put themselves in that position where they can do something special that has not been done here in a long, long time. And I think that can be a selling point, because it's a lot of fun when that happens. When you first start winning, that's a lot of fun. I mean, the first head coaching job I had at Mid-State Tech, they were 1-21 the year before I got there. And they averaged losing by 40 points a game. That was their average marginal loss. Okay, they lost one game by 76. And I got hired in August. So I basically had the same group that we had the year before, and we won our first 4 games. Okay, we still weren't very good, but we won our first 4 games. There was a lot of excitement with those guys, and basically we've been able to do some similar things at the other schools. But to me, that's a big thing and the big challenge right now. Let's do something that hasn't been done maybe ever before here, but certainly not in a long time, certainly not since what Coach McDermott was able to do here.
Coach, given any roster you could construct, what kind of style of play would you prefer? Do you want to run up and down the court, or do you want to grind it out like Will Ryan and play in the 60s?
I'm a Wisconsin guy, sort of. I was from Illinois, but I spent 18 years in Wisconsin, and when I first went into the league at Superior, unfortunately, Bo was still at Platteville, and they were virtually unbeatable. In fact, when he had left, he was only there for a couple of years, and then we actually had a team that went down and beat Platteville, and I think they had won like 98 of their last 99 home games when we did that, so that was a lot of fun that night too. But I really believe in trying to disrupt people, from a defensive standpoint. So we play really good man-to-man defense, and if you look at our teams, we generally force a pretty low shooting percentage. This past year we were ranked 10th most of the year in the top 10. I think we actually finished 11th in the nation in defensive field goal percentage. 3 years ago, our national tournament team finished 8th in the nation in defensive field goal percentage. So I think we've been very good on that side of the ball. So, if we had our ideal roster, we'd have a lot of quickness and a lot of length, and really be able to be disruptive. But understand that everyone's looking to go at a higher level, and we've got to get the best possible players we can. So this, for example, this past year, I would love to have a point guard that really can go out and pressure and bother teams. But this past year, we brought in a 6'3" guard, point guard, who ended up starting for us, and he actually ended up being the defensive player of the year in the conference. But he wasn't necessarily, his strong suit wasn't pressuring the ball, so we couldn't pick up as much as I normally would like to. But if we had that kind of roster, certainly I'd enjoy having the ability to really take people out of what they want to do. Not so much like Wisconsin. Now, we did that with Platteville when Bo was there, and we took them out. They ran that swing offense, and we watched it, and they destroyed everybody running the swing. And they came into our place, and they did not run the swing against us. Now, they still beat the snot out of us, but they didn't run the swing. So, but he had probably 11, 12 guys that would have been all conference on any team they played on, and obviously he did a great job there.
Coach, I work in the admissions office, and I was just wondering if you could maybe speak a little bit about, at the previous institutions you worked at, maybe how you've interacted with those admissions offices.
Sure. Well, that's important, because to me, I feel one of the most important, if not the most important part of the recruiting process is when we can get that prospect to campus. And generally when we do that, and it's a challenge in Valley City because where we're located, and then we can't pay for recruiting visits. So it's a challenge to get people to our campus a lot of times. But when we do, we have a great working relationship, because obviously admissions does that really well, and I work with them in terms of setting up those visits, so we're having them obviously meet with the right people that we want to meet with. And then in terms of the admissions standards and those things, you got to work really closely with the admissions. But they're a great resource. I think I've probably learned better to utilize them. In the past, I think wanted to just do everything myself and take care of the recruiting process. But you know, there's a lot that goes on in the admissions office in terms of the contacts they have with prospective students that I think really helps in my recruitment process, and I've done a better job for sure in recent years of utilizing that office.
Coach, over the last, I believe, 8 years, Wayne State's had 4 kids from the state of Nebraska finish their senior season on their roster. Go down the road a little bit, Kearney State has had 12. Unfortunately, Wayne High's probably 2 best players in the last 8 years
Sure.
were at Kearney State. How can we get those kids here? We don't have a 4-lane highway. How do we get them here?
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't have a magic wand, but I know one thing. I'm a very, very persistent recruiter. And if we identify, and that's where we've got to start. We've got to start, you know, locally and in the region. Doesn't mean we won't reach outside the region for sure, but I mean, there's just so much benefit to having guys in the area that really can produce for you. So I think a lot of it is just a lot of work. As I talked about before, I think trying to sell them on the opportunity to do something, you know, do something special here. I think we have a program and a style of play that guys will like. You know, and you've got to get the right, you know, individual. And either, you know, we are who we are, and you know, it's the same in Valley City. If we have, you know, guys that, you know, want to be in a really big city and go to clubs every night, or, you know, guys that, you know, want to be on a huge campus where they're just a number, you know, we're not going to get those guys regardless of where they're from. But there's a lot of guys obviously in this region that would prefer to go to a place like Wayne, that a smaller community, and I think it's a great sized campus. I mean, it's a campus that is big enough where it offers a lot of things. There's a lot of academic programs, there's a lot of activities going on campus. I was staying at the hotel last night. There happened to be a student that was working there who goes to Wayne State, and I asked him how he liked it, and that's the first thing he said. Well, I like it. There's a lot of things you can do on campus here. So we've got to identify the right individual, and we really have to work at it. It's just something you have to be really persistent with, and you know, I'm not going to make any promises, but certainly I think that's a strength of mine, is just ability to recruit and the persistence I have in the recruiting process.
Our last road win, we have only one road win in the last 2 years.
Right.
That was a buzzer beater at Mary. To be successful, you have to win on the road. What does it take to get over the hump?
You beat one of those North Dakota teams, so that's a great question. And if you're going to be good, you've got to win back-to-back games because, you know, the league plays Friday, Saturday for the most part, and you've got to be able to win on the road. And I think the biggest ingredient to winning on the road is toughness. I think you have to have guys that are tough. You know, that to me, that's a great separator in terms of guys that are successful, teams that are successful. Just that competitive toughness. They even are, you know, they're talking about it in the NBA finals right now, how Golden State just has more of that competitive desire, that will to win, because, you know, certainly they've played talented teams, you know, through their run here. But to me, that's really it. You've got to have guys that are tough. And to me, you know, it's great winning at home, and especially if you are having success and you get that home environment. But the guys that, I think most guys, you know, that are truly competitive, what they like doing is going on the road and winning, and, you know, shutting the crowd up on the road. I mean, that's really what's enjoyable. So you've got to have guys that have that competitive toughness, or you're just not going to win consistently and have a tough time winning on the road. Deb?
We are referred to as a suitcase college. Lots of our students leave on a Friday afternoon, and our parking lots will be sparse.
Right.
At one time, we filled Rice, and we did it consistently, game after game. So I think we can do it again. What are your thoughts on how we do that when so many of our students leave?
Right. And we have a lot of similar issues at Valley City. A lot of them leave on Thursday, though, so we can't keep them around that long. But so you've got one extra day here anyway, so that's a good thing. But you know, one of the things that I feel at especially a little bit smaller school. And we have a very similar sports code offering. We have the same sports at Valley City you have here, except we have women's golf and you have women's soccer. Otherwise, everything's the same. And I really felt, since I got there, and I think at Valley City we do a good job of this, but your student athletes, number one, really need to support each other. And if you can create that environment where your student athletes support each other, I think that's a good first step for that. And I don't know what happens here. Maybe that is already happening. If so, that's great. But I'm going to be out at games. I'm going to be out at volleyball games and football games, and I'll expect my players to be out there as well. Well, we tailgate at Valley City before all football games with our basketball team. So I cook for them. I know what they're doing before the game, so then they go watch the game, and we're visible that way. And it was one of the really nice things in the last couple of years is our athletic department has organized kind of a community tailgate area. So we moved from our kind of basketball area out there, and what it did is it got our guys involved with a lot of community people, other faculty that also were in the tailgate area, and they also discovered that their food was better than my food, so I started to lose some of our guys, but I think that was a good avenue for that. So I think support other programs, and if we want other programs to support us, then we need to support them, so it'll start that way. And you have to win. I mean, it's hard to ask people to want to stay around if they're not going to come to an exciting event. But you have some of the best teams in the country that are coming in here to play. You had Augustana this year, the best team in the country that came in here to play. So you've got an opportunity to sell that, but you've got to be competitive and win games for that to happen.
What attracts you specifically Division II compared to Division I or Division III? You were saying you really
Right.
excited about that.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Really, I think it's as simple as the fact that I played on the Division II level. And I played at Grand Valley and had a great experience at Grand Valley, and ever since this is sort of the level that I wanted to be at. And I've looked at some other situations, and this one is really appealing for a lot of the reasons that I mentioned in terms of being in this conference. And one of the attractions there is if you can compete at the upper level of this conference, and you can compete nationally. And to me, that's really exciting. But really, it's not much more complicated than that. I had a lot of success playing at this level, and I followed this level, and particularly the NSIC, for a long time. Since I've been up at Superior, so I'm really familiar with the conference, and I know this is the level that I'll be comfortable coaching at, and hopefully be here and hopefully stay here for a long time.
Any one more question, Jerry?
Somebody.
I'll take it.
All right.
Can you talk about your family?
Sure.
Just get off basketball for a second.
Yeah. My wife actually came down with me here, and she's I think I'm fairly easy to get along with, but she probably deserves a gold medal. So we've been married for 27 years and have been together for 32 years. So that's a good thing for me anyway. And she actually works in the medical field. She's a sonographer, and we have a dog. So that's our family there. Our kids are basically our team, and we've got a lot of nieces and nephews running around. And my current assistant coach has a 1-year-old now, so we were looking after her the other day. And my wife does a lot of things. She's a smart one in the family, but she's also an avid bird watcher. So she assured me that Wayne is in the flyway zone for the migration, so we're good here for a while. So I had to get her blessing on that. So
How about staff? Did you have people you would bring along? Or
I'm not sure yet. I need to talk with Mike about that. I don't personally know Brett. I believe we when we last played St. Cloud a few years ago, he was actually a player there. So I know of him, but I don't know him, I haven't spoken to him. So that's, first I'm hopeful I get the job here, and then I'll kind of work on that process and really make the decision that I think is the best for the program. So I do have a current assistant that has been with me for 11 years, and he was a GA at North Dakota State under Coach McDermott when Coach McDermott was at NDSU. So I've gotten a chance to know Coach McDermott mainly through him. And in fact, on the way down to the national tournament for us, which is in Branson, Missouri, we stopped and stayed in Omaha overnight and then practiced at the Creighton practice facility. I don't know if you've ever been there, but wow, yeah, it's nicer than ours, yeah. It's big picture of Doug up there, and it's a great facility. So, and he took us in his office, and our whole team fit in his office easily. So he's got a nice big office, and our guys got a chance to hold up the Player of the Year trophy that he has from Doug that's in his office. But we'll see. I mean, one step at a time, and I think we'll definitely make a decision on what's best for the program.
Okay, I think we better cut it off with the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're here on MyWayNews.com talking with Coach Jeff Kaminsky, the second of the 4 candidates here on campus at Wayne State College to interview for the men's head basketball coaching job. Coach Kaminsky coming here from Valley City State University up in North Dakota, and I guess my first question is, are you here for the basketball job, or are you here for the weather? Because I've been in North Dakota in the middle of winter, and
Right.
And I don't think that's any place anybody wants to be in January.
But ironically, when I head back tomorrow, it will be 90 degrees there, so 90 and 93. But no, definitely for the basketball part of it, the weather will be a little nicer, I would assume, here in the spring anyway. We don't seem to get much spring. But no, I'm excited about the position here. I think there's been a tradition of success going back to Coach McDermott and his era. And I think there can be some exciting times ahead for this program. I think there's a lot of things in place to lead me to believe that it can be successful. Obviously, some of the past success. There's other programs on campus that are having success. I know the NSIC is a really challenging league, and that's a big part of the challenge here, but I'm looking forward to it.
One of the things you mentioned during your interview here was that your team has played a number of Northern Sun Conference schools here during your time there. I think you said 12 out of the 16
Right.
teams in the conference you've faced at one time. I guess if you had to pick, which one do you want to beat first if you get the job here?
Well, I would have wanted to beat Augustana this year, just from the standpoint of the success that they had. But I think anybody in the South, obviously you have some historically strong programs with Augustana and Mankato and Winona that have a tremendous amount of success on this level, and Moorhead's doing a great job right now in the North. But as one of the questions was asked, winning on the road, so whoever that first road opponent is probably would be a great win for us.
Yeah. What is it about the Northern Sun Conference that I guess makes this job even more appealing to you? I know that you're obviously coming to Wayne State would be a great opportunity, but playing in the Northern Sun Conference, one of the tougher conferences in the country, what makes that most appealing for you as a coach?
Well, I think the two things is, one is just the strength of the conference. If you can have a program that can compete at the upper level of this conference, then you have a program that can compete nationally, and that's exciting. And that's not the case always in every conference around the country. So that is definitely appealing. And then clearly just my knowledge of the league. I've been on 15 of the 16 campuses. We've played, as you mentioned, 12 of the 16 schools at least one time. So I just have a familiarity with the schools. I know a lot of the coaches in the league. I've seen a lot of the teams that have succeeded in this league, so I think I'm very familiar what a successful team would look like in this conference.
And I know we asked the question briefly at the beginning of the interview here today, but you're going to be inheriting a team that has been a very young team over the last couple of years. Do you think that you can take that group of kids and win right away? What will it take to get them to that next level?
Well, as I talked about, whatever success we have next year is going to be, the main factor is going to be the development of the guys that are currently in the program and on the roster. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that is at right now. I know there is a lot of youth, and sometimes that can be a really good thing and sometimes not a good thing. But I think clearly from the limited amount that I've seen and conversations that I've had, I think there's certainly some guys in place that that can have success. They just need to, hopefully have the willingness and the commitment to have what it takes to be successful in a really challenging league.
All right, we'll talk with Coach Jeff Kaminsky, the second of the 4 finalists for the head men's basketball coaching position here at Wayne State College. We'll have 2 more interviews coming up later on in the week. We've got interviews coming up Thursday and Friday here at Gardner Hall. 1:30 in the afternoon is when the interviews will be taking place. So if you have a chance, stop down and check those interviews out as well. Coach, best of luck to you, and if you're the next guy here, we'll look forward to working with you.
Well, appreciate that. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for now here on MyWayNews.com. We'll see you tomorrow with the next in the series of interviews here from Gardner Hall at Wayne State College.